Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am here to talk about Natan Levy versus Mike Davis. My prediction for this fight is Mike Davis wins a decision, but I'm not betting on it because it's tough to gauge exactly where Mike Davis is at because he shows up to fight once every year and a half. He's had like 3 fights in the last 5 years. He's theoretically in his prime at age 31. No reason to doubt him in any way. Physically, he's looked good, but he just doesn't show up enough. So it's tough to gauge exactly where he's at. But I'm guessing he's going to be too much for Natan Levy. I'm guessing he will be able to keep this fight standing for the majority of the fight and get the better of Natan Levy with power punches. I think he definitely has the better chance of getting the knockout between the two, but I'd say he wins a decision. Neither guy's been knocked out, although both guys have been rocked, which I'll get to in a second. But Mike Davis, I trust his ability to throw down hard in a competitive fight for 15 minutes. That's how he won against Mason Jones a few years ago. Mason Jones, that kid was an awesome fighter, probably still is. I don't think he should have been cut from the UFC, but he gave Mike Davis hell with his volume and his pressure. But Mike Davis won that decision because he could throw hard for 15 minutes, and his power won that fight. And of course, his grappling won him the fight against Vyacheslav Borshchev, where he was all over him from the beginning, had him badly hurt at the end, well, fully mounted, and was pounding the shit out of him at the end of round one, and then never let up with the wrestling and was able to dominate him throughout the rest of the fight. Didn't put him away, but looked really good. And it was a great performance for Mike Davis, who everybody, myself included, considers more of a striker. But he's definitely got wrestling, and I think he's going to need those wrestling chops to keep this fight standing. Natan Levy, while he can mix it up on the feet, he definitely wants to take this fight to the ground. That's plan A for Natan Levy. And my prediction is Mike Davis is able to take that away from him for the majority of the fight and get the better of him on the feet. As far as their health goes, neither guy's been knocked out, but both guys have been rocked. Mike Davis has been rocked by Sadiq Youssef, certainly had him backing up, rocked in the middle of their fight, which was on the Contender Series. That's one of his only 2 losses, and that was by decision. Sadiq won with outside striking mainly. He chopped up his legs. That was his best weapon, but he also roughed him up and had him rocked a few times. His other loss comes to Gilbert Burns in his UFC debut. He took the fight on very short notice, and he got submitted in round 2. Gilbert is a monster still. Almost beat Jack Della Maddalena yesterday. But back then, that was 5 years ago. He was no doubt in his prime, and it was just way too tall of an order for Mike Davis on short notice. But that's it as far as his losses. He's looked great in every other one of his fights, and he's also proven to be more dangerous. The majority of his wins come by knockout, whereas Natan Levy doesn't have any knockouts. He's got one. Technically, it's listed as a knockout as an amateur. It's not a knockout. It's a guillotine choke. That's bullshit. But Natan still has danger on the feet. We've seen him rock guys, spinning back kick or whatever he landed on Genaro Valdez. He also hurt Mike Breen, rocked him at the end of their fight. He's definitely got some deceptively good finishing power. It's deceptive because he's never finished anybody with striking. But he's definitely up against it. If nobody has big moments, I think he's losing the stand-up battle to Mike Davis. I think Natan Levy, to win this fight, he's got to take Mike Davis down. And he could do so, but even in fights when he's been doing so, he hasn't been able to do so consistently for 15 minutes. We saw him fall off big time against Mike Breeden. And as far as Natan Levy's health goes, he's looked great. He's never been finished. His one loss was when he was out-wrestled by Rafa Garcia. That was a really close fight, but Rafa Garcia was able to rip him to the mat and control him more, so he got the nod. Natan Levy has been rocked badly in this LFA fight against this guy Ben Lugo. In round 2, it looked like he was half out of the fight for half of round 2, but he kept his composure, and kept himself safe and battled back to win that fight. So there's not a lot of doubt in his health, and I do think if Mike Davis wins, it should be by decision. But he's been close to getting finished before in one of his 9 professional fights. So could happen here with Mike Davis. But I'm I'm thinking Natan Levy is not able to dominate with the wrestling, even if he is able to take him down. I think Mike Davis takes most of that away from him throughout the majority of this fight, and I think Mike Davis beats him up on the feet. He keeps himself safe from those dangerous shots of Natan Levy and gets the better of him with more powerful striking. So that is the pick. I'm going with Mike Davis by decision, and I'm not betting on it. I'm staying away from this one completely. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.